What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Gaelic Gridiron podcast. Well, our festive slate of games is in the book, almost in the book. Monday Night Football is still to come at the time of recording. Jimmy English, delighted to be joined again by Kevin Kelly and Stephen Twist Kearns. Lads, it's been a crazy few days of football. Hope you all had a nice Christmas. Kev, was Santa Claus good to you?
Yeah. Got myself some AirPod Pros, so
Very
stepping up
nice.
the recording business a little bit this month. So
I could use some wireless earphones, whatever the way my connection is. There's a lot of static in my ears, so a nice pair of wireless earphones would be nice. Might have to invest in a new setup. Twist, did the wee fella, was he happy with all his presents?
I mean, you can't go wrong with like train sets and dinosaurs. Like, what else? Like, there's someone that I would want at that stage.
no Steelers gear. Come on now.
No
He
mini
already,
Steelers
he already
footballs,
has
but I
enough.
heard, I heard he was punting balls around the kitchen a few weeks ago. You have a future little kicker there in your household.
He's already got more Steelers jerseys than Jimmy has.
I wouldn't be hard, to be fair. Would not be hard. Uh, Well, look, let's start back. I mean, I know it's a few days ago now, but of course, the momentous day on Christmas Day when we had the Netflix doubleheader. Apparently, something like 65 million people tuned in internationally, which is great to see. And I do think Scott Hansen and Drew Brees did a great job. The results, Twist, not exactly how we would have liked. Kind of put a damper on my Christmas. I don't know about yours. It's not looking great for the Steelers. We do have. I promise we'll only talk about this briefly because we did say we wanted to touch on it a little bit. We may have a playoff spot, but it's still we're coming on off a 3-game losing streak in the space of 11 games.
Yeah, I mean, like, first of all, the Netflix stats are a bit dodgy because it was like, 192 different countries tuned in at some point. So you
Yeah,
accidentally clicked on the stream account as a big watch. So that's horseshit as far as I'm concerned. But
still
I
cool to
watched.
see it. Still cool to see NFL on Netflix though, into a wider international audience in the spirit of growing the game.
Oh yeah, I watched it on the Zone though. I didn't trust Netflix after the Tyson Paul fiasco. Partly it was good though. No complaints about streams except there was some audio issues at the very start.
Mm.
Other than that, it was fine. No, like I didn't go in expecting the Steelers to beat the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs. They're doing some funky ass stuff this season. They're winning like crazy. Um, didn't like the fact that they, got to have a Christmas party in our stadium like afterwards, all dressed up in their Santa gear and stuff like that. And we're now looking at down the barrel of like possibly at the worst case scenario the 6th seed. We can't get the 7th now because of the situation that happened with Denver and with the Chargers getting in. But we can get at worst 6th, at best the 3rd seed, which the Ravens currently hold. We have to beat the Bengals. We've got to do our own, take care of our own business. And the Ravens have to lose to the Browns and we get the North. So once again, we're relying on another team to help us win. It's not the standard. It's not the way the Steelers should be. We've been in the playoffs before in recent memory, one and done against the Kansas City Chiefs. We missed them where we watched the game on the sidelines as we watched the Browns and the Ravens play, hoping the Browns beat the Ravens a few years back. Similar situation again.
One and done against the Bills last January as well in the wild card round.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people talking if we keep the 5th seed, we go to Houston, and that's a more winnable game, which I agree, it's a more winnable game, but the winner of Houston and the Steelers goes to Arrowhead to face the Chiefs. So, we didn't lose the first round, but, we're going to lose the second round in Kansas City.
Not ideal either way.
No, not happy with the team at the moment, not happy with where they're going. Russell Wilson's not the future, and George Pickens needs to grow the fuck up and actually stop, giving up on routes because he knows the ball's not coming his way, which is, I mean, that interception to Freiermuth in the end zone, partially that's Pickens' fault because he dropped off his route, so their additional defensive back was able to drop into red zone and get the interception. Part of it is Russell Wilson. He's too small to see over our offensive line. He didn't see at that point triple coverage and just lobbed it up in there. I'm not going to rant about the Steelers anymore.
We could have a whole podcast dedicated to what's wrong with the Steelers right now, but we're not going to do that. We will get into the playoff implications and the various scenarios in a few minutes. But Kev, in complete contrast to what we witnessed on Christmas Day, your Vikings put the league on notice on Sunday night in the late window. But it was a close enough game in the end against the Packers, but some performance from Sam Darnold and his receivers. I mean, I watched the extended highlights this morning, and I was like, wow, Sam Darnold is. Everyone was expecting him to blow up and implode and revert to his rookie-ish kind of form, but he really is balling at a high level.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's hard not to be happy as a Vikings fan right now. You know, it's like
Hard not to
what.
wipe that smirk off your face.
Yeah, no, genuinely, it's one of those situations where you're looking at it and you're like, I think broad, like more broad conversation is like the contract situation with Sam Darnold. Like, I know we were talking about it before we came on the podcast, but how do you not give this man a contract in like it doesn't matter what you have to do, you have to give him a contract. Like he's won 14 games, and he doesn't look like he's slowing down either.
No.
And I think you know, you highlighted Jimmy as well, like Jalen Naylor having a really like big game yesterday.
Yeah.
But like that's not the first time he's done this year. Like this is like his second or third big game, and I think that just kind of is more evidence to show how important those first four receivers are in Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, even like Aaron Jones, and
TJ
then TJ
Hawkinson,
Hawkinson. That's what I'm saying. Like you have them four guys as your core receiving
one of
and
the
kind of
best tight
handoff
ends
group.
in the league, like hands down.
Absolutely. And so, like, having somebody like Jalen Naylor is like, yeah, obviously they're going to put all the pressure on Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and then four guys. But then you leave another really good receiver
Mm.
open in Jalen Naylor. So, you know, the Vikings are a threat. And
Yeah,
I think it's
100%.
wild. It's wild to be in this situation where you're 14-2 and there's
And you're
teams
not in
or
the
there's
conversation.
analysts. No, people are still saying we're frauds and we're this and we're that. Like, look, I'm happy to sit here and take 14 wins and look good doing it
Mm.
because, you know, 2 seasons ago we had all of those close wins, but it was different. You know, we were coming back and we were always like just about in the hunt and we'd win it by a kick or whatever. We're actually controlling these games, whether
Yeah,
it's a tight one down the stretch or it is just a kick for the win. Like we're in control. Sam's in control, and I think that has been the big difference this year.
should be on a T-shirt. Sam's at the wheel. Sam's in control.
Yeah, Sam is the man. Like
Sam
he
is the
is the
man.
man. He's the man of the NFL, at the NFC at least right now. I just don't see a quarterback that has played as well as him in the last 5 weeks. Like name a quarterback.
So as a result of the Vikings' victory against the Packers last night, all eyes are going to be on this game now on Sunday Night Football in Week 18, the final regular season game slate of the year, Vikings and Lions. I believe it's in Ford Field
Yeah,
in
Ford Field Sunday night. So Sunday
Sunday
night
night.
football, and what's interesting here, Jimmy, is that Dan Campbell has adamantly said they're playing obviously tonight, like you said at the start of the podcast, was
Mm,
that they're playing in Levi Stadium, so they have to fly out to California, play on a short week, and Dan Campbell said we're playing for the win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Which this game is inconsequential. Like they don't need to win this game. They could
mm,
get blown out and they could not start any of their starters and get fit, get healthy. But Dan Campbell, and I think that this is where I went back to like the coach of the year conversation a couple of weeks back. I think these decisions that Dan Campbell is making are putting him out of
yeah,
the
100%.
coach of the year conversation.
So yeah, a massive game between the Vikings and Lions to look forward to. What is on the line is the NFC North crown, potential number one seed in the NFC, and what could quite possibly be a preview of the NFC Championship game twist. I mean, like we were saying before we came on, there's three division titles up for grabs this coming weekend, and this is probably the highlight of that.
Yeah, definitely. I was saying to you there that it's the first time in a long time that the final week has had meaningful football left. You have the NFC North and the number one seed. You have the AFC North title and you have the NFC South title all on the line on Sunday. So you have three division titles still up for grabs. I think even like the Lions, whatever they go below San Francisco, they're having a really terrible year. But I think Dan Campbell's hubris is going to catch up with him at some point, and I think it might catch up with the worst time it's going to catch up with him, I think, is Sunday against the Vikings. And the last thing any NFC team wants to do is have to go in to like Minnesota, into that stadium to play against Minnesota with that crowd. Like there's very few fan bases that can affect the game as much as like the Vikings fans can, like Arrowhead can, Steelers Nation can, Seahawks fans can. But that skull chant, when that gets go, like that a skull chant, if the NFC Championship game is in Minnesota, I pity any NFC team going in there, whether it's the Lions, whether it's the Packers, because you're going to be on a silent count the entire night, no matter what you do. If you score, those fans ain't going to care. If you take the lead, they're not going to care. You're going to be on a silent count all night. So to like stop the Vikings, like Dan Campbell is going to have to do absolutely everything. He's going to put out every trick play, because like the Vikings have been disrespected. Like, throughout the year, I've made jokes about it. I've accidentally called him the wrong name multiple times. That's just my
Multiple. It's been every podcast for 15 weeks, Twist.
that's just my CTE adult brain, like not working it out. But like Sam Darnold has shown that he is worth at the very least a franchise tag, and I'd seen it being discussed on the Pat McAfee show before we came on, that they're all saying he's at least worth the franchise tag, which is $46.5 million, I think it is. Like, I give him like the franchise tag, try to run it back that year, and if he does it again, then give him the big ass contract, because everyone is still afraid of the big ass contracts. Go ahead.
Kev, though, as speaking as a Vikings fan, and I suppose on as the representative of Vikings fans across our listenership and Ireland and the UK and Europe and all that, just how excited are you for your team to be in this position, to be playing in prime time Sunday night football, NFC Championship on the line, number one seed on the line, against a team you could potentially be facing again in the NFC Championship game?
Game of the year.
Game of the year is right.
God, it's one of those things. Yeah, like I said, it's hard not to be excited, right? But you do have to look at the history of the Vikings in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl. Never won a Super Bowl, and somehow have always found a way to lose. And I think that there's been a lot of factors in that play into that. Like, obviously, it's not just some hocus pocus, like they just find a way to lose. I think that now the pieces are falling into place. You have a very, very good defensive coordinator. You have a very good play caller and head coach in Kevin O'Connell. Like, you have Sam Darnold, who is playing out of his mind. And then I'm not sure if either of you have seen, but like the embrace that he got after the game in the locker room with all the players, like the team is so united. Like, and there was like a shot where like they were all celebrating him and like lifting him up and whatever, and then it pans over to Kevin O'Connell, he's just standing there smiling, watching like everything that he has built there.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't just your run of the mill good season and then it will disband after this year. I think that there's players there who will happily take a pay cut to stay in that building and stay under that coaching system.
And you've seen Jordan Addison say, like, when he was interviewed at the end, they're like, how's Sam Darnold coming on? He's like, who, the MVP? Like, that's the mentality that team has right now.
It certainly is going to be a fantastic game for anyone who's staying up. The very, very best look. I know Kev was staying up. Lads, give us a little prediction there, Twist, before we move on to our next item of discussion.
Vikings by 7.
Well, conservative, Kevin.
I think that the Vikings will go up by like 20 in the first half, and then again it'll be kind of a grind down to the last 2-3 minutes. But I don't see that the Vikings lose this week, so I'm gonna go Vikings by 10.
There we go. I am not surprised at all with either of those selections. All right, so that game obviously has massive implications with regards to seeding in the NFC. Twist, I know we had been discussing the various scenarios unfolding and all that kind of crack. Do you want to jump into that now, and do you want to take us through some of the unfolding scenarios with regards to last available playoff spots and seeding, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, like, the AFC, there's still one spot up for grabs. There are 3 teams still in the running for it. Denver, strangely enough, Miami's still alive. And after the Bengals insane game that I watched against the Broncos with all of those like back and forths. Bengals are still in it. So like, because it gets a bit muddled up. If Denver lose,
You
Miami
put two
win.
big massive spreadsheets into our WhatsApp
I'm not
earlier.
going through that. The ones that Tom Parcello put up.
Please don't. Take us through the highlights. Take us through the big ones.
So if Denver lose, Miami win. Miami get the final spot. That's that. If Denver lose and Miami lose, the Bengals get in. So that's the outcomes for the last remaining AFC spot.
There's a good chance that Tua doesn't play this weekend also with that hip injury so there's a good chance that right now he's not playing.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything since, but right now he's still inactive. He hasn't been marked change or anything. Obviously, if Denver win, Denver's in. So Denver has to win to get in. It's all in their hands now. If they lose, the other two teams have a shot. It just gets a little bit. There's in the NFC. There's like the Bucks, the NFC South. Obviously, crown is up for grabs between the Bucks and the Falcons. So
Baker Mayfield had a fantastic game as well. I want to give. I know we had previously before during the year given Baker massive appreciation. He dropped off a little bit, did struggle a little bit. 5 touchdowns, something like 456 passing yards. Absolutely torched the Panthers. I mean, it is the Panthers.
Yeah.
But like he effectively kept his team in the playoff race with that victory. And I was watching the highlights in Red Zone, and I was like, Jesus, Baker is balling out. So he's clearly not done yet.
Yeah, so if it's all in his hands now on this Sunday. If Tampa Bay win, they win the division, they're into playoffs. Green Bay still have a chance to sneak in on the 7th seed. Atlanta have a chance. Obviously, they need to win and for Tampa Bay to lose. Washington are in. The Rams got in as well with Washington's win on Sunday. So the NFC is a little bit cleaner. It's not too like muddled with the AFC, but the main one to watch is the NFC South because they're going to have one of those teams is going to host the playoff game.
Do you reckon if the Falcons somehow do make it in ahead of the Bucks, do you play Michael Penix? Do you stick with him at this point?
Yeah,
go back to Kirk Cousins. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
you don't pull your starting quarterback.
The only reason I ask is like Michael Penix obviously doesn't have any sort of playoff experience.
He's college football playoff experience.
Yeah, and I think that those two things may be similar, but they're very, very different at the same time. And Kirk obviously has been in that situation.
Yeah.
So I wonder. I do wonder if there's ever a conversation in the Falcons office that should we reconsider putting Kirk back in for a high magnitude game like that, or do you just run with the rookie?
No, let's say this is Penix's job. Kirk is no longer a Falcon.
No, Kirk's gone.
Kirk is done.
He's on vacation already, sure.
Yeah.
He's down in Cabo.
He's getting ready for the Pro Bowl games, even though he hasn't been invited. But yeah, no, it's Penix. If they somehow manage to, if they win and Baker somehow manages to like flame out the last game of the year, Penix is getting that start. Like you're not going to pull him. He's been playing decent football. He's had some flashes. The Falcons almost won. Their field goal kicker lost it for them. In their game on Sunday. So like he's that close to, it's no longer Kirk's job. So yeah, you stick with the rookie. You go with him because he has to get that playoffs experience at some point. And there's no point in pulling him for a guy who you're going to get rid of. There's no, we won't. They're going to get rid of Kirk. So give Penix the shot at that playoff, getting that experience. He may shock someone.
Another interesting fixture to keep an eye on, not that it really has it has absolutely zero bearing in terms of playoff implications, but there is a bit of a rivalry game, or maybe not in his view, but the Eagles and the Giants are playing this weekend. And there's a couple of interesting storylines though, Kev, is that Saquon Barkley has an opportunity to break Eric Dickerson's single season rushing record. He needs 105 yards, I think it is, or something like that.
101
yards.
101. He is 2,005 yards. If he gets 100 yards, he ties the record. He gets 101 yards, he breaks it.
So the question here is, if you're Nick Sirianni and you're in that position, or you're Howie Roseman, not so much Howie Roseman, but like do you rest yourself or rest your player for the playoffs, or do you
Put him in.
let Saquon go out?
No, rest him. Absolutely
No,
rest him. Come
no,
on
put
now.
him
You
in.
what okay, but what like it's not like the Lions. The Lions have something to play for this week in terms of they don't want to go into a massive magnitude game against the Vikings with a loss, right? What sense does it have putting Barkley out there just to run for 100 yards and potentially get beat up? There is
Mm.
so you look at Dave Montgomery. Dave Montgomery tore his or well, there's something going on with his knee,
I
whether
think
it's an
I'm pretty sure.
ACL,
I'm not sure if it's torn or not, but I think it might just be bruised. But they're talking he might be back for the postseason.
but either way, it's like you're putting yourself in that position. Yeah, anytime any footballer steps on the pitch, you're putting yourself in a position to get hurt. But it's why unnecessarily make
Mm.
that decision when you do not need to.
It's
And you even
not
saw it
unnecessary
in their
though.
no, go on,
And
twist.
also, sorry, Twist, just to I don't want to interrupt you there, but you also have to think about in the Eagles' eyes, they're thinking, all right, let's let the Giants win because if the Giants win, that puts them in a worse spot for a pick next year. So it's kind of like, yeah, let them barrel roll us
Mm.
because that'll only make Philly fans even happier because then they get a worse pick in the draft next year.
Yeah, but like how the Philadelphia fans, they got their division title on Sunday. Now Saquon has a chance to go up against the 31st ranked rushing defense, who allows an average of 146 yards a game, to get 101 yards and break a 40-year-old record, so they can walk into the
Yeah, in
playoffs.
17 games. He
But
did
Doesn't
it in
matter how
four.
many games he done it in.
It absolutely
Nah,
does
there might
matter.
be a
Getting
little,
a
might be a
record
little
on a
asterisk.
record.
He got on the record. He became the ninth player ever to break 2,000 yards in one season within the regularly a lot of slated games with 17 games. So anything beyond that is additional. And knowing Saquon Barkley and seeing some of his performances, he could well do that in the first half and get pulled at halftime
That's what I was saying. He can get that 101 yards in the first half, and
easily.
what his day is done. Eric Dickerson has come out and said it doesn't matter how many games it takes. If you break the record, fair play to you. But he doesn't want Saquon to break the record. He's like, I don't want to break
He's
the
not even going to
record.
suit up. Saquon won't even suit up this
Like
weekend.
against the Giants to break that record, he is absolutely going to go in.
No, because but like when you even think about it, for the single game rushing record for the Eagles, he sat out knowing that he was only what like 20, 30 yards off it, or maybe it wasn't even that. And he said, "No, let the other guys eat." He
Mm.
is a selfless player, and I think that yeah, this is obviously a different magnitude now, where it's a season long record rather than a single game. But what does he gain from it?
His name in the annals of history. If he never wins a Super Bowl, he has that until someone else breaks it. He's already said in the post-game press conference after last Sunday that he'd love to break that record. He's not going to sit back and let the rookies. He's going to go out, run 101 yards, and then give the second half to the rookies and walk out with a brand new record. His first ever division title, by the way.
Twist
Um,
has some insider information that he's not telling us here. He is somewhat he is the ear to
Well,
the grindstone.
I
yeah,
was reading a really interesting article earlier on NFL.com about some of the implications around Week 18, and one of those points that was made was that if Saquon wants to be seriously considered for MVP, he needs to break the record, and that would give his case a massive
oh, if
boost.
he breaks the record, there's no doubt about
Yeah,
it. He is the MVP. If he doesn't break the record, it's going to Josh Allen
yeah, Josh Allen, 100% Josh Allen.
because the MVP is a quarterback reward. The only way for a non-quarterback to get that award is to do something insane, like break a 40-year-old record.
And so what leaves Lamar Jackson out of that conversation right now? Like is it
Well,
his mid-season dip? Like that
no,
and I had this conversation with my brother and I was just like that to me is and again there was like a couple of components there. Lamar definitely does not throw the ball into those tight gaps the way Josh Allen does, the way Mahomes does,
yeah,
and even like I said, the way Darnold has been throwing. He doesn't throw the ball, but he also has this ability to extend these plays. And then I kind of caveat that with
he has
that's
Derrick
not his
Henry.
first read. That's not his first read. That's not even his second read or his third read. That's when nothing else is happening. And then he has to think on his feet. Most other players just get that ball out in a second or a second and a half, where he just doesn't. So
But
that to me is where it kind of sets them aside.
I think his like push for the MVP has gone up since he broke Michael Vick's record as the most rushing yards by a quarterback. So again, breaking records puts you way up in the MVP conversation. So I think originally it was going to be heavily favoured for Josh Allen, which, as a Steelers fan, I'm like, yeah, it's Lamar, but like objectively, he did have a bit of a dip, but he's still Lamar Jackson. He's still a fantastic quarterback. He still is, against even playoff teams, performing that little bit better than Josh Allen. Josh Allen like dipped himself, and it's all, oh, he's MVP, he's MVP. Just been no consideration that
the narrative that has definitely been in Josh Allen's favor with regards to the MVP conversation, 100%. But Kyle Brandt, I don't know if you saw this. He was on NFL Game Day Morning, on Sunday, and he did a segment, and he was basically saying that who cares about MVP? That doesn't matter shit if you haven't won a Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl should be the priority, because if you're attending the NFL honors to get your award, that means that you've been eliminated from Super Bowl contention. So, it is interesting to see the debate. But I mean, personally, I think having watched this play all season long, Josh Allen is my definite contender. But I would like to see a non-quarterback win it. So, rounding out this point, Saquon Barkley playing that game, or playing half a game, breaking the record, and resting would be, I think, a nice compromise in that regard.
Yeah, the way I look at it right now is it's too close to call between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, since Jackson's game has swung back up and he's broken Vic's record. But if Barkley breaks a single season rushing record, it's his. He's going to take it.
Not to kind of get into like the awards talk too much, but just like a quick one on the rookie of the year, and you might agree with me on this one, I'm not sure, but I still believe that Brock Bowers has to be the rookie of the year.
Was it the rookie receiving record for a tight end?
Yes.
He broke Mike Ditka's record on Sunday.
The thing about this one is that he has played on a team that has been underperforming all year and has been the go-to guy and has just outperformed everyone around him on a very, very poor team. And now you look at the other guys in the so Bo Nix and then Jaden Daniels, like two guys who are
I put Malik Neighbors in that conversation as well.
Only more recently though. Yeah. I'm talking
he did
year
have
long.
Daniel Jones and Drew Lock throwing to him though.
No, and that's fair, but you also have to think of the tumultuous times that Brock Bowers has had in the Raiders organization. Like, it hasn't been as smooth. So I think that I hope that the voters do take all of these sort of conversations into consideration, because it's not as straightforward.
Yeah.
Oh, he just had, or looking at the analytics and all of that. It's like, yeah, but like the eye test, like he has been phenomenal.
Well, I think that circles back to my arguments that breaking records are important. As Jimmy said, he broke Mike Ditka's record. Mike Ditka, like one of the greatest tight ends of all time.
Oh, one of the greatest players of all time, never mind
broke his record. That straight away should bump him right up to number one of offensive rookie of the year. Jaden Daniels has played great, yeah, and the Commanders are in the playoffs, and that's fantastic as well. But Brock Bowers has had Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. They lost Adams to the Jets. The team's been falling apart, and he still manages to break Mike Ditka's record. Like, insanity.
Speaking of the Jets, quickly, Aaron Rodgers got pulled for his own safety apparently during the beatdown.
I think he asked to be. He asked to be removed.
Did. I think once he got called for unnecessary roughness for a late hit, which is bullshit, by the way. That was
he deserved that.
Do you think so?
Yeah, he did.
I don't know.
He knew what he was doing as well.
Yeah.
He definitely knew what he was doing.
If someone done that to him, he'd be on the ground going, "Where's the flag?"
Yeah. So I think that's very telling with regards to what the Jets have planned for Aaron Rodgers' future. And apparently Garrett Wilson came out, not publicly now, but basically said that if Aaron Rodgers is still on the roster next year, I'm gone. So it's a star receiver or washed out quarterback. Who's going to win that battle?
Rex Ryan is interested in coming back to the Jets.
Matt Ryan.
No, Rex Ryan.
Oh, Rex Ryan. Oh, Jesus.
That would be. I think that would be a good move. I think that the Jets need somebody to kind of get them in line again, because it's clear that they've just had a misalignment of leadership. And look, I will say this: like, going back a couple of years now, I think that leadership in coaching is what is winning in the league right now.
100%. Your head coach is prime example of that. He built the culture, and Mike Tomlin used to embody that. I don't know what's going on there right now. Dan Campbell has it as well, and
Andy Reid as well. Like the Harbaughs. Like I would be very, very worried if I was in the AFC now next year with the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh, because what he's building there, and I think that you bring a group of guys like that together, have a larger purpose in what you're trying to do. It's not just about winning games. It's not just about winning the Super Bowl. It's about having creating great connections along the way. And these coaches have kind of, I think they've all just really stepped up in the last number of years.
That's why the Chargers are the scariest wildcard AFC team at the moment, as far as I'm concerned.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but I think Rex Ryan needs to come into the Jets. They need to hire someone like a hard-nosed, old-school coach and just bring that culture back. Like Robert Saleh had control of it till Aaron Rodgers got fired because he didn't like him. So, like, Rodgers is definitely not going to come back. Like, I don't think
draft a quarterback if you
it.
can. There's several good quarterbacks coming out this year they could draft.
I mean, I don't know. Like, look at the Jets.
They could sign Sam Darnold.
Could you imagine the biggest heel turn in NFL history after winning the Super Bowl with Minnesota? Sam Darnold signs back with New York.
I think that every offensive coach in the league right now is thinking, could I do what Kevin O'Connell has done with Sam Darnold? I think that's the burning question on a lot of coaches' mind, and I don't think there's a lot that could.
It just goes back to it. Just proves the whole conversation about how players coming out of college get screwed over by bad coaching and bad organizations. And look at Baker Mayfield; has had a career resurgence. You look at Sam Darnold; has had a career resurgence. I think the Panthers quarterback is going to be absolutely fine once he gets out of that organization. That burning shit heap of an organization.
Good, like he's shaken off whatever he had.
He has
during the start of the season. So I think give him another year, he'll look
give him another year and give him some weapons, some proper weapons.
Well, like the Jets
are going to have a hard time getting a quarterback.
Whoa! Don't be throwing shade at Adam Thielen. Come on, now.
He's too old.
No, he is, but he is super talented. Like he is a danger. His hands are insane.
Well, like the Jets hold the 7th pick at the moment, as of like this week just finished up. They're number 7 on the draft board. Like the teams in front of them that need the Patriots don't need a quarterback.
No.
Tennessee, yes.
Yeah.
Like
definitely need a quarterback.
The Browns, absolutely, even though they're keeping Deshaun Watson. And the Giants,
that's because they can't afford to get rid of him. They can't be seen to get rid of him because it costs them so much money.
The Giants need a quarterback. Jags, maybe. Panthers, no. Jets, yeah. So you might get someone fall to them at 7.
Cam Ward might fall after what he did in his bowl game. That's not going to impress me.
Sanders.
Durham Sanders might fall. It's
going to be
one of the best draft classes in years, so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next April.
Yeah, but right now the Patriots hold the number 1 pick, so it could be interesting. I was going to say Belichick. Belichick would play mind games at number 1 pick. Mayo is not going to play mind games.
That's if Mayo's still ahead.
That is exactly, Jimmy. I see Mike Vrabel is in a lot of conversations around the league right now. So that's
Vrabel's kind of consultancy with was it the Browns just expired there? I saw something online in ESPN earlier, so that's going to be very interesting to watch.
He might take the Jets job.
Yeah, providing Aaron Rodgers is there.
I don't see the Patriots getting rid of Mayo after one. It's his first season. He's been.
Did you hear the stadium at the weekend though? Like in Foxborough,
fans, we're fans. We don't know shit. Like
but when the pressure starts coming, it's just like ultimately, like, how do you make money? You put seats, you put arses in seats.
I know, but the fans in Chicago are chanting "Sell the team." The Giants are flying banners over the stadium.
Yeah, and how many people are at the game? Like they've half capacity of their stadiums. It's a joke.
But all it takes is a good draft pick to bring all those fans back.
Nah.
What do fans know? The Steelers are chanting for Kenny Pickett, and look what happened to him.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett against playing for the Eagles.
And I love Kenny Pickett and Pitt for the Panthers. But once he hit the pros, he played good against the Eagles.
Look even in Pittsburgh. I mean, when I was over there in against the Jets, we were.
Did you go to a Steelers game, Jimmy?
I did. Did I not tell you about it enough? Did I not go on about it enough? But even then, they were chanting for Justin Fields before halftime, and then Russell Wilson pulled it out of the bag and was good for a while, and now has fallen off a cliff again. So
I thought you were going to say they were chanting for Ben Roethlisberger.
Nearly were.
I don't
Bring
see
back Ben.
Back to my thing. I don't see the Patriots getting rid of Mayo because he was in that system for so long. Belichick basically handpicked him as heir apparent. He's going to get one more season. He is absolutely on the hot seat. if he doesn't turn around, if they start off like next year, like 0-5, 0-6, he's gone. But they're not going to like get rid of him after one season. Like Belichick has like handed the keys to the castle to him, and the Patriots are talking nothing but high praise about him. Tom Brady talking nothing but high praise about him. So I don't think Mayo's gone, but he needs to. If they keep the number one pick, like after this Sunday, he needs to like score a home run with that number one pick. Either he needs to get a superstar, or he needs to trade down to someone stupid like the Browns or the Giants or the Jets for like the farm and just rake.
But they already had a number one pick, not a number one pick, but they had a top 10 pick this year. And what have they done? Like, yeah, Drake May looks fantastic, but Jared Mayo has let the team down. He has been the crux of the team.
You
Like,
can't publicly call out your team and expect them to play for you.
I know he's
no.
really bad, yeah. But
So like, what would make another top 3, top 4 pick any different this year? What does that make any difference for them? Because it's clear that having the talent isn't working for them, because Drake May is phenomenal and he has had people to throw to, and they have had a good O-line. So like, what are we talking about here? I think that Jeremayo absolutely needs to go.
Yeah, that sounds like a culture problem to me.
I don't know. I think the Crafts are going to keep him for another
That's
season.
right, Twist. You don't know.
I'll kill you.
Right. We could sit here all night debating and talking about different scenarios unfolding, but week 18 of the NFL regular season is in store. There is so much on the line with regards to seedings and draft positions, and we'll be watching very, very closely. But for now, lads, we'll leave it there. Always a pleasure.